Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to How to Make Your Own Time. This is your favorite self help podcast. I am Brittany Gill, and I'm here to challenge you. As your host and virtual coach, I am on a mission to help you be who you are, do what you want, and not apologize for it. Tap in to level up every other Thursday. I am happy to be back for the second week of this beautiful podcast space, How to Make Your Own Time. Again, I am Brittany Gale, your host and virtual coach. And I just wanted to tap in, of course, before the episode starts and before we start flowing, to let y'all know that life is really funny. And that's the way I choose to process it and to show up. Laughter has been laughter has been a key for me. This episode was inspired by the fact that I have had to flow and pivot and just really decide to let God take the wheel. Period. So, long story short, I realize I am not in control. I realized it a long time ago, but God continuously shows me. So obviously the lesson has not hit home because I keep getting reminded it's not your show, baby girl. You are in it, but you're not directing this show. I got this. Um and the lessons I learned, I just want to share with y'all and pass on because if it has helped me and benefited my life, if I can share this with one person and it helps them, I truly feel honored to do that. So let me tell y'all a quick story about how God just continues to have me on my toes and having to pivot and flow. So I had my first child when I was 22, and it was my senior year. I was at Bennett College for Women. I was graduating, and of course, I had no idea what life was going to be, but I was doing my thing. I was a grown up, quote unquote. I go get my master's, and I still have one child. We move. I get with my son's father. We do this whole, let's try to be a family thing, and we're doing it. We're young people. We're doing our best to make this life work. So 7 years after having our first son, Junior, we decide that we want to have more children. So y'all, 2015, yep, I get pregnant with my second child. I have my second son. He's healthy. God is good. He's delivered. Beautiful. That was 2016. So, boom. Now we have two children. At this point, I've decided to leave my job. My husband supported that. Now I'm at home and I got one child in school, one child at home. A year later, we decide let's have another child. Mind you, we knew this before we even had the second child, that they say if you wait 5 years, anything over 5 years, and you have two only children, technically. I read that somewhere. Don't quote me. So I was like, I don't want to have two only children. If we have a second child, let's just plan to have two. Let's knock them out. Boom, boom. And God was really good. I was fortunate enough to get pregnant again. And we had these children, 22 months apart. So I had one child born 2018, one child born 2016. And this is three boys now. I'm good. After that, I was more than good. My hands were full, being a full time mom, wife, sister, friend, lover, all that. I felt like this is it. God is good. 2018, my husband gets a vasectomy. Okay? A vasectomy is a procedure that a man goes through so that he cannot have any more children. So the vasectomy takes a while, it heals up, and you have to keep going back and getting the specimen tested to make sure that the sperm is not active. And it took longer than we expected. I mean, we didn't know what to expect, but it took a while. But sooner or later, those bad boys were cleared up. Everything worked out. We went from 2018, 2019, everything was grand. 2020, the pandemic, we're shutting the house together. We're having a good time as married folk do. Everything is grand. 2021, y'all. My anniversary weekend, mind you. August 2021. Out of nowhere. How? Not even how. It's not my business how, God. I don't even know the words, y'all. Not even how, but just oh my goodness. When I say I was not prepared for my OBGYN to tell me that I was pregnant, it was a shock. It was the shock of my life, for real. When I could not believe it. I am now almost 6 months pregnant with my fourth son. Y'all, I just want y'all to process that. You did your planning, you had your babies, your husband got a vasectomy. You thinking y'all about to, just do this thing and raise these children and start pivoting and doing something different in life. I had this whole idea of what the next couple years or year or whatever was going to look like we always do, please. But I just want to tell y'all, this has been the shock of my life. It has given me such joy, for real. It's given me such joy to be chosen to be a mother. I have very beautiful pregnancies. I'm really honored that I can carry and hold and birth and nurture babies the way I do because I cannot complain. So I'm not complaining, but I'm just showing y'all how you never know. You never know. You never know what God has in store for you. Because had you told young Brittany that this was going to be her life, I would have looked at you and said, who are you talking to? And what are you talking about? You don't know me. With my little sassy neck and all. I would have really, you could not have told me this. But I'm so grateful, and I am pregnant with a pandemic pregnancy, as we're calling them. It feels like a great baby boom, but who knows? It just might feel that way because I feel like everybody I see and everywhere I go, I'm like, what? Is everybody pregnant? Like everybody? So I did not expect this. And I realized that is exactly what life is. It's a whole lot of unexpected turns. Excuse me, a whole lot of unexpected twists. And the name of the game for me is learning how to flow, learning how to pivot, learning how to trust God and keep it pushing for real. So this episode is really dedicated to how I have had to pivot and flow with this amazing, miraculous change that happened for me just August 2021. And if you want to see more, I have a video that I'm editing and putting together on my YouTube because I laughed at these stories, y'all. I mean, and that's what I get, don't laugh at folks. I laughed at the idea of my husband's vasectomy failing. Um, and I'm just going to tell you a snippet of why I laugh because I'm an astrology girl. I am I'm someone who gets my natal chart and my stars, read by my professional astrologer at least once a year. And in 2019, yep, is when I met Third Eye Zai, who is my professional astrologer. And he did my first reading, and it was this really in depth, beautiful reading. And I want to say he read me in October 2019. And he said to me, I see another child for you. I see another child for you. I don't know if it's 3 years or when your youngest child is 3. Mind you, my youngest child is 3 right now. Y'all, this man is great, but I believe in free will. So, hello? I was like, I don't know what he saw, but my husband has a vasectomy. I know I said that phrase. My husband has a vasectomy. Now, I don't know if we're gonna be together. I'm not sure if this you telling me I'm about to be with somebody else. Like this man is not giving me any children. He has a vasectomy, and he looked at me like, "Yeah, I hear you." Um, That's another story for another day. But outside of getting that prediction from my astrologer, you still could not have convinced me that I would be having a fourth child. I'm the kind of person who looks at somebody with 4 children and says, "Girl, four? Four. What does that even look like?" I'm about to find out. I'm about to find out. And I'm grateful for it. But that is what I really wanted to share that and just let y'all know that everything I share here, I'm still implementing. I'm still using myself and I'm simply sharing the tools that have helped me maintain my marriage for the last 8 years and be a mother for the last 12 years and just develop healthy relationships. And all this stuff these are not things I read in a book. I mean, even though if I probably did read them in a book, the impact has come from implementing it and from being shown in real time that, oh, okay, this works or this doesn't work. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to share, I'm here to uplift, and I really want to educate and work with anybody who is in need of some support. So I hope you enjoyed the episode on how to flow, and I hope y'all get into my YouTube, tap into I am Brittany Gale on YouTube to see the full video of this vasectomy fail and just other things that I've shared over there. I've been really busy on my YouTube. I'm so proud. I really am so proud of just how diligent and consistent I've been over there. So like and subscribe. I am Brittany Gale over on YouTube and get into the show. How to flow. How to flow. So I've been doing a lot of thinking lately about how there are a lot of different layers to being a person and to being alive. And if we really break it down or write it out, There are so many levels to this thing called life. I've been doing my best to play this game to the best of my ability, and it really is a game. And I don't mean a game like you're competing against other people, but I've learned that it's a game in the fact that you are continuously discovering and leveling up and competing against yourself or who you used to be. If you think about everyone's life, it is a very individual process. And we are all running our own unique race. We all see things through our own, perspectives and points of view. And on the flip side of that very coin, we are also all connected to everything and everyone in the universe. There's nothing that we can do that doesn't affect and send a ripple wave out energetically or, otherwise to the things and people around us. So you have your family, you have your friends, you have your community, and we all have systems that we have to navigate. It's really common knowledge, and it's completely understandable that we all want to be a part of groups, whether that's small groups or large groups. We are hardwired. It's in our DNA to want to connect on some level and be in relationship with other human beings. This is just true for most people anyway. So because of this fact, I believe that it is important for us to learn at some point how to get along with other people. And the older we get, it's vital for us to understand how to work with people, how to show up in society, how to have healthy relationships and set healthy boundaries, and all of these things that relate to how we get along and show up with others. But, capital B-U-T, it is not the most important. And I feel like, no, I've been thinking and reflecting on how that part of our development, the community, the family, the tribe, has always been pushed. And for most of us, it's been primary. The social norm has been to share, to be inclusive, always be inclusive, to think about other people, to give before you receive. Especially as young women or as a young woman, this stands out to me in the teachings, whether it's religious or just in my culture, in my community. That was always the go-to. But the older I get and the more I start to wake up and become aware of my own healing and my own development, the individual self was not supported, and it truly wasn't encouraged during my younger years. Most times, many people saw that as being selfish. Anytime you put yourself first, anytime you do something for yourself without including your brothers, your sisters, or sharing with somebody in your classroom, that was considered a selfish act. And that is just simply unhealthy. Regarding yourself is not selfish. Learning how to have a healthy balance between the self and the community, the tribe, the family, it really has become essential in my own personal healing journey. So through life experience or the idea that, you want to do life a certain way, a more authentic way, you begin to tap in and you begin to want to go deeper to who you are. And when you start doing this, you realize that the individual, is really the most important part, because it's the part that's always with you. You know what I mean? No matter where you go or who you're with and where you work or what relationship you're in, that's the name of the game, is learning how to be comfortable and grounded in yourself. You know, everything outside of us is, especially these days, is shifting, it's changing, and it's almost like catching whiplash. Just trying to keep up with everything going on outside of ourselves. And all we can do when we are in relation with other people is do our best to try to relate. You know, you do your best to try to explain what you saw and how you felt or how something affected you. And if you have great communication skills and patience, it can still be a difficult task. But it's still all your perspective. It's all in your mind. You know what I mean? It's all in your mind. So, understanding the self, getting in touch with who you are, and understanding, your perspectives and your understanding of how you got that perspective, and what is my makeup, and what is my body, and what is my mindset, and what do I value. All of those things are so essential to our own personal self-development. The goal to understand, for me, my goal anyway, has really been to understand myself as much as possible. To truly do the work to understanding who I am, how I got like this, and how much I like the person I am today, or how much I want to change and be, this other person that I'm working towards. But that's really the name of the game. That's what we're really doing out here when we talk about doing our work, is understanding ourselves. And once you understand who you are, giving yourself permission to be who you are. And I feel like this journey and this healing and this process really could have been much more simple had myself and so many of us had a more balanced upbringing and more focus was given to the individual, because then it would not be so hard or so challenging to discover who that individual is and then learn to love that person. A lot of our values and a lot of the things that we know about ourselves are really wrapped up in our culture, our religion, or just the community. And it hasn't really been individualized. It's the journey, y'all. This is a real, the healing journey is not always cute, as they say. And it's not even always fun, but it really is so worthy. And I've learned, and it's really benefited me in my own self-development. This is what I mean by make your own time. It's learning and discovering on your own time who you are, and then giving yourself permission to show up authentically as that person. And the catch is, who you are today may not look like who you were yesterday. So that really can be a challenge, because people get used to us how we were. And they get comfortable with us doing the things they know us to do, eating the foods they used to eat with us, doing the activities that we used to do together. And when you change, your change really makes people uncomfortable. Because just because we change doesn't mean that people around us are changing, and that's respect. But it also doesn't mean, it also shouldn't make it so that your change is delayed because you don't see other folks around you changing in that same way. That's not authenticity. So for me, it means that there's a choice to decide how to show up in the world and how to live. And that's a moment by moment choice. And it means that if I let the outside world and everything around me always influence how I'm going to show up, I would be a chameleon. I would always be doing things to please or appease or just to fit in everywhere I go, versus learning how to be grounded and in love with who I am so that I can just be a little bit more at peace, a little bit more comfortable, and show up like me everywhere I go. And whoever don't like it, okay, that's fine too. But it's a choice. So, making your own time. For me, it has become a way to advocate not only for myself, but for allowing other people also to live their life and to do what they want to do. It's such a beautiful double-edged sword, because in that one phrase, you really free yourself up and you give people permission to do what they want to do, to show you who they really are, and to make their own choices. Come on, parents. I mean, it's freedom. And it's beautiful because there's not this delayed meeting of the self where you have to be an adult, or you know what I'm saying? You have to be in your 30s or 40s to really discover, wow, this is what I like. This is who I am. And I am an individual. No, let's start giving the gift of individualism as early as possible. That's what I believe. And that's my goal with my own children, is to let them make their own time, not only by showing them and by being an example, but by teaching them that I don't know everything. And you came here with your own divine design. God created you uniquely. So tap into who you are. I can guide you. That's my job, but it's not my job to direct and have this grand idea for who you're supposed to be. That is your work. And that's all of our work, in my opinion. So that's why I created this space. That's why I held a meetup that I used to host in 2019. It's because I really enjoy talking about and processing the journey of life and what it looks like to discover ourselves over and over and over again, and then challenging ourselves to show up as that new person and learn to be comfortable in that skin. Learning how to make my own time has really supported me in some of my most loving relationships, because this phrase allows people to tap into who they truly are. And it says to them, like, wow, okay, someone is telling me to choose myself. Someone is encouraging me to do what I think is best. And that sounds like freedom to me. I don't know about y'all, but that is exactly what I'm going for. And I feel like when we often get in these loving relationships, you hear me speak about kids because I have three, and I'm learning myself and I'm learning them more every day. I have a partner, and I'm learning our relationship as, as partners, but also we're individuals. And nobody wants to be a slave. Nobody, I don't anyway. And I don't want anyone to feel smothered as if they belong to me. That is delusional. And I see a lot of people, my man this, my woman that, my kids are my everything. That is not healthy, my friend. Nobody belongs to you. No one is your property. So what's the old saying? The tighter you hold on to something, the quicker it slips through your fingers. Like that whole, I don't know if that's exactly it, but that's how I feel about relationships. Holding on too tightly is not healthy. Trying to overdo it, like overcorrect, oversteer, and over influence, even people you love. And mind you, I learned this the hard way because there was a time when I thought I knew what was best. And not only for my children, just being completely honest, I thought I knew what was best for my husband, my children, my household, and learning to, on my own spiritual and self-development journey, I realized, girl, you still learning yourself. How the heck could you know what's best for somebody else and you still learning what's best for you? So it's a mindset, but it's also just such a beautiful mantra because it encourages freedom. And who doesn't want to be free? Freedom and liberation for me it's really true to like, it's true to my core. Those are my values. I really do value freedom. I value family and I value fun. And learning how to make my own time has helped me be able to really show up where in the moment I realize how to take a step back and say, you know what? This is his choice or this is her choice. And they have the right to that choice. Even though I might not understand it, even though I may not necessarily even agree with it, it is not, if it's not, harming anyone or taking advantage of someone like who can't protect themselves. There's always a line. But if this is simply someone's choice, let them make their own time. I choose to release. That's where I'm at with it. I am a master in detachment theory, releasing, learning how to let go and let God, as they say. I choose to release control of situations now so easily. And I allow for it to simply be. This mindset, y'all, making your own time, has really taught me so much about the divine. And it's strengthened my relationship with God in ways that has increased my faith and just shown me how God shows up. Because I've been given such grace. And I've been able to witness so many beautiful things by taking my hands off and learning how to release. And it's not always easy, but I've learned how to give it back to nature. I'm really in the vibe and I'm really in the flow right now with understanding that Life is not going to be perfect. People definitely aren't perfect. But nature is perfect. Nature is perfect. And whenever I feel that resistance coming on and I don't want to release or it's not as easy, I say to myself, I release this and I give it back to nature. I've learned to give it back to God and pray for whatever that situation is instead of trying to change someone's mind or explain to someone, you know what I'm saying? Or interject in someone's own life and choices and decisions. Because I have to remind myself that I don't know why God is supporting that person and making this decision, or why this person is making that decision and how God is going to show up and show them this ain't it. But it's not always our goal. You're not goal. It's not always in our best interest to say something. Hello. I am talking to myself. I don't, we don't like to see people that we love doing quote unquote the wrong thing or making a quote unquote poor decision. But who are we to say this is not the exact path that they chose to live, and that God is not saying, okay, this is your choice. I can show you better than anyone can tell you. So that's what I get out of releasing. I release and I pray. And when I tell you God shows up every time God shows up, because that's just how God works. God don't need my help. So learning to make my own time, focusing on myself and not being so, quote unquote helpful. I'm a coach. I'm a mother at heart. I'm a nurturer. Like, this has been, not even like, this has been my life's work because I'm a caregiver. I'm a social worker. I like to help people, but understanding boundaries and helping and learning how to make my own time and allow people to make their own time has changed my life in the most beautiful ways. So I pray, I truly pray that if you desire to be in alignment with your highest self, if you desire to be in flow with nature, that you embrace this model and that you start to just take a step back when you find yourself having that resistance with someone or something, and you learn to let it go and you learn to trust. You learn to trust that even when you release, even when you step away, even when you don't like the way something appears, that God is always in the mix. And God is always going to show up right on time. Every time. Every time, as they say. So get in your flow. Do what you're supposed to do. Continue to do your work. And I'm here to report to you as a true believer and as my own testimony that when you are in flow and when you learn to make your own time, the divine shows up and everything else in your life just aligns itself so much more naturally, and it doesn't become so much work. So I hope y'all got some benefit from this, and I hope you continue to seek your flow. And what's the phrase? This is my last piece. And don't fight it. It's like the saying about being in the ocean, and that when you're in the ocean, if you fight the wave, it will take you under. That's the energy that I'm talking about. Sometimes you have to release, and that's the flow because you're not stronger than the ocean. It will take you under. So don't allow this life and all these things going on outside of you to take you under. Go inside yourself. Focus on your flow. Focus on who you are and get yourself in alignment and watch how God shows up for everything else in your life. Okay? Y'all be well. The love is real. Hey, friends. As your host and virtual coach, I'm here to challenge you. A conscious challenge is about personal awareness and authentic accountability. The only person you should ever compete against is yourself. Challenge yourself to be better than you were yesterday. And when you're ready, share your story with us using hashtag conscious challenge. So, friends, this week's topic is how to flow. And as your virtual coach, I am challenging you for the next 2 weeks to stop trying to convince other people of your flow. Stop seeking not even approval, but acknowledgement or support from other people who just don't get it. Everybody is not going to understand what it means for you to be in flow. Everybody's not going to like the changes that you make to be in flow with your highest good. And there will be changes. So that's another thing, is to really release the idea that you even know how it's going to happen. This is a divine design. When you get in flow, it's not an earthly thing. It's not something that you do to yourself or through yourself. When I speak about being in flow, I am speaking about being in the highest alignment with your highest good. And if you know, like I know, you don't control this thing called life. You're riding the waves, and you might be a damn good surfer, but you don't control the waves. You are simply riding them. So to fool yourself to think that you know what your highest flow is, that is not, in my opinion, that's just not how it works. When you're in divine flow, you can feel it. You know what I mean? You just know when you're in the flow. But it's not something you plan like, okay, next Thursday, I'm going to work out, drink my water, take my vitamins, and I'm going to be in flow. It doesn't work like that. It's really a God thing. And the term divine design is something that I learned from Florence Scovel Shinn. I'll put her name in the show notes. And I've been using her affirmations, and I got this recommended by my astrologer, Third Eye's Eye. He put me on to this woman, and I want to say she wrote these books back in the 1920s or 30s, but truly releasing, once again, the word release, truly learning how to release and to be in my divine design has helped me get in the flow with my highest good. So, again, your challenge is to stop not even worrying about. Stop thinking about or attempting to convince other people that you are in flow. And if you're in the flow, just be happy with being in flow. Be happy with having God's grace and, take your deep breaths and smile. But this is a personal journey and it has nothing to do with how anybody else feels about it. So be true to yourself. Do whatever self-care is going to help you get in flow, but make it personal and keep it close to your heart. Okay? I truly would love to hear how y'all are experiencing these challenges. If you have an idea for a challenge you would like to do or a way that you would like to connect, I'm really all about community, and I'm just getting back somewhat just out into the social world. So please feel free to leave me a message on the podcast, to hit me up on social media. Feel free to connect with me because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to educate, and I want to be a facilitator because that's what I love to do. But I'm all about tapping in. So tap in with me. Please write a review, share the podcast, and don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen, and just let me know what you think about it. I appreciate it in advance, and I thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you again. Not seeing you. I look forward to being in community and in connection with you again next Thursday. All right. Peace. Are you enjoying yourself? If you are gaining value from this space and you're thinking right now, how can I help Brittany Gale, and how can I help other people make their own time? I want to remind you that sharing really is caring. And word of mouth is an incredible way to support this free resource. Tell somebody about the podcast by sending them a text. You can send this episode directly to their phone. You can share the podcast on any of your social media by tagging me at I am Brittany Gale, or tagging the podcast at Make Your Own Time Pod. You can quote, you can share the tools you learn, or hashtag Conscious Challenge. And my favorite way is by sharing the good news with the world. Go and leave a 5-star review on Google or wherever you listen to this podcast, and let everyone know how much you're enjoying yourself. I appreciate you for listening, and I thank you in advance for sharing good news. Thank you for listening, and remember, honesty is key. So be true to yourself, because you can't buy peace of mind. And if you are ever unhappy, always make your own time.